everybody is probably waiting for us to cover this. It's the hottest news. It's the biggest thing going on. Everybody's talking about it from all different angles. Wednesday in Minneapolis, a shooter opened fire during morning mass at Annunciation Catholic Church. 2 children were killed, 17 others injured. The suspect, a 23-year-old man, Robin Westman, who legally changed his name in 2020 and identified as a woman, also had family ties to the church. Mike, with this suspect's family ties to the church, a history of identifying as a different gender, and the tragic outcome inside a place of worship, should the focus now be on mental health failures, security gaps, or the way identity politics is shaping the narrative around these attacks?
Why is it always Phil's got to ask me the question and then I got to answer the thing and come out and, well, okay, I'm going to. I think it's a little bit all of them, to be honest. I think that mental health is definitely a focus because, and I'm going to say something controversial because that's what we do on this podcast. I think there's a correlation between mental health and the identification piece of this whole puzzle. And the reason I'm saying that is because let's just go to science for a second. And I do not know for a second the whole details of the story. I don't think it's come out yet whether or not this particular individual has taken gender drugs to actually do a transition, or it was just simply a mental thing where this guy said, I'm going to be a girl, I'm changing my name and I'm not doing anything. I don't know. I just don't know. But I will tell you that to me, there's some correlation. And I think that there has to be some kind of trigger mechanism. And I know I'm going to get flack because it sounds very similar to say like, racial profiling as an example. This class of person is more likely to do this, so we should maybe put more resources into that. Well, I mean, unfortunately, sometimes there's a reality to that, right?
Well, that's the issue right there. In one, you're talking about a person, and another one, you're talking about a person that has a psychosis.
A choice. Well, I mean, Phil, maybe you just said something more controversial than I did. I mean, you say that it's psychosis. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. Well, this person has a psychosis clearly based on what they did.
Gender,
but
dysphoria.
Misidentification, dysphoria. Yeah, I mean.
So where am I out of pocket on that?
Okay. Well, are you saying that everybody that wants to change their gender has dysphoria?
Yeah.
Oh boy,
that's what it is. You were born.
Goodbye, Apple.
You were born.
Goodbye, Spotify.
You were born one thing, and
Well, I agree with you, but
feel a certain way. I haven't said whether or not your feelings are legit or not. I'm simply just black and white. You are one thing, and you feel like you're another. You have gender dysphoria. That's exactly what it is.
And to go along with what I said originally, I think that there is definitely stress, anxiety, and mental health concerns around that, right? I mean, that's just
absolutely
the way it is. And I don't know the particulars of this case. Unfortunately, everything's politicized, right? So immediately after this happens, you hear all the Democrats come out on one side and say, gun control. Well, let's review this for a second. The guy shows up at the place with a handgun, a rifle, and a shotgun. Now, they're talking about banning assault weapons, which in the case of this, that wouldn't have solved this, right? 2, they were all acquired legally. So you're not talking about banning the actual weapons. What you're talking about is banning the ability for people to have them. That's what you're really saying. And that's a whole different discussion. And we could do a whole podcast on that. But And then you got immediately when I first heard this, I had memes. I don't know about you, but on your social media feed, I had memes coming across from some of my liberal friends saying, "Oh, here we go again. It's going to be a white, right-wing, Nazi sympathizing, blah, 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 blah." And the reality is that their mouth got shut down when they heard that it was somebody that was switching genders. Everybody shut the hell up. But, at the end of the day, this is clearly a mental health problem. The guy is mentally unhealthy. What we're doing a really bad job at is figuring out who's mentally unhealthy in advance. So I see today they're interviewing his parents, who I think are divorced, one's out of state, whatever, and they're trying to figure out, what's his background. Well, I mean, unfortunately, that's like Monday morning quarterbacking. We're a little behind the eight ball on that. So I think it's a mental health problem for sure.
So even though I've mentioned gender dysphoria and all of this, there is a mental component, because no matter what's going on, a person that goes and does a mass shooting, there's something wrong with them mentally.
Yes,
on some level.
I think everybody can agree with that. I hope.
But this is part of what I've been trying to show you for weeks now. Every single week, I've been showing you this conspiracy theory. So these shootings has more to do with simply a person going against the system. And for this person, the system is Christianity and people who follow Christianity who oppose my lifestyle. You don't even have to concern yourself with what that lifestyle is. And that's what people are trying to pull it in. They're basically trying to say, because he's trans, he did these things. That's not what I agree with, at least not in the sense that they're saying it. I think that he did it because he's trans, and this is an institution that professes against me.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
Yeah, and I think there's probably a fair argument to that, and it'll be interesting to see if more details come out about that. But I heard stories that he had written on his manifesto on YouTube, and he had written on his I think guns or whatever else he had written on. Fuck Trump and Catholic Church and the Christians, and I don't know, there was some other stuff there too. It was a whole mess of stuff.
The only things that you know about the manifesto are the things that they wanted you to know, which are opposite of he would be, in most people's idea, considered to be on the left or being liberal, right? But all the information that you're getting that's in his manifesto are the things that he's saying about the right.
Yes.
So they are curating a message about him to you.
Yeah, I see that.
They're literally trying to make him sound like, okay, yeah, he did this horrible thing, but he was on the right side of an ideology or a thought or whatever. Are you following what I'm saying?
I totally follow what you're saying. I mean, my fear here is that obviously this is the whole quote transgender, sex changing, drugs that involve that, surgeries, all this stuff has been politicized to such a level, and there's been such an argument about whether or not this is from birth. This is through culture. This is through, peer pressure. This is led by parents. This is, there's all sorts of stuff. And my fear here is that all creates a mental health drama, if you will, right? So
I agree.
We don't know, let's hypothetically say that. I want them to
pursue this as a terrorist act, not
which I think they are.
Because if they do that, they can address gender without it making a judgment about that. They can just simply say, this group of people are waging war against people about this.
Yeah.
And you can leave all of the, whether you like their lifestyle or like or dislike it, out of it. And that's the mistake that people are making. There are people who hate them, and this is their opportunity to hate them. I don't hate them.
No.
And
that makes the problem worse.
I agree.
I mean, the next guy's more likely to do this because he's now hated even more.
Well, there's actually a dichotomy there. Exactly what you said, but there's also enough support for a person to say, hey, I'll go and be a hero if I do this. That's when you have the second tier of people. I forgot the term for it. They're doing it as a martyr. They're doing it for they don't even care about the actual reason that they're doing it as much as the notoriety that will come from their being a martyr.
There's elements to him, I think, in this as well, because I mean, clearly he was looking at doing the most amount of damage. He put 2x4s over some doors so that people couldn't get out. So most of these people that are committing these crimes are trying to maximize damage, right? They're trying to make and kill as many people and maximize. And, obviously it takes a sicko to attack a bunch of children in a church. I mean,
bro, I would have respected him more. No, I don't want to use that word.
Bad word.
I would have looked at it differently if he had the same feelings, had the same fight, had the same protest in his heart, and he went to the church and he shot a priest or a nun or an administrator of the school, someone who's an adult who is in the decision making that's actually in your mind doing something against you. These are the kids who you don't know what direction they're going.
No.
For all we know, he may have actually taken the life of one of his own.
That's right. But to go back to what you said earlier on the podcast, I mean, these are children that you could argue, to take the counterpoint here, that they are there being groomed, to use that word, right? So they're in there being taught by the priest or the nun or whoever a certain book of principles, presumably counter principles to this guy.
I agree. And Mike, I'm about to give you a counter to everything that we just said.
Oh, gosh.
We're just basically going down the road and believing that, hey, the reason why he did this is because this is an institution against him. My other conspiracy follows that line, but I mean, this is Catholicism. This was a Catholic institution, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No diss to the Catholics, but y'all got a long history of molesting boys.
Very long history.
Yeah, this might be some retribution for something that was going down. I'm not saying it was right. That ain't what I'm saying.
Well, and that's why I didn't want to make too many comments on what his motivation is, because that's got to be researched. And that may very well, Phil, come out next week or the week after that.
I don't think so, Mike. Because I was
maybe not.
I was going to end this with, this is another feather in the cap of what I'm trying to explain to you, where there's somebody,
the narrative
that's mass shooting, and then there's an immediate cover up, or there is a theme that's strewn out to you to make you not even think about other ideas like the one I just mentioned. Because is that a far-fetched thing that I just said?
No.
If that ended up being what it is, that would sound real logical.
Yes.
So my point is there's already a protocol in place on the dissemination of information on these things, in my opinion. And I'm saying it again.
Yep.
And next week, hopefully it don't happen, but I'm probably going to have a whole nother example for you.
Okay. I like that.
And aren't you noticing it's the same thing?
For sure.
It's a lone shooter, and it's a major institution. And just like I said, it's going to increase, because it was like a few weeks in between them. Now it's starting to be like every
rapid fire. Yeah.
And
coming
it's
fast. Yep.
and like I predicted before, it seems like these are still remote cases, separate entities all on their own. But as this goes on and people communicate and people see that there are people thinking like them, there's going to, I believe there are going to be group attacks if it's no more than 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
That's the next thing I see. And there's also some similar crimes like this that they haven't been reporting that falls in line with this. On the East Coast, just a few months ago, there was like a whole van of transgender people, and they shot and killed a Border Patrol officer. And they were part of one of those organizations that's like anti the Christians and this, that, and the other. So there's so many different things that could be the reason, but they're not going to touch them because they don't want you to think about them.